During Germany's rearmament in the early to mid-1930s, the aviation industry was a top priority, and getting new modern fighters was given major attention. In 1933, the Aviation Ministry put out 4 requirements for new aircraft, the third of which was for a single-seat fighter. Now, the original concept for this was a short or medium-range interceptor with the highest possible flight performance that could intercept bombers and reasonably compete with potential escort fighters. After a competition between several designs, the Bf-109 from the Bavarian Aircraft Factory and designed by Willy Messerschmitt was selected as the main winner. One of the real keys to the new plane was its highly streamlined aerodynamics, focused on minimal frontal area, combined with the anticipated performance of a powerful new series of engines that were still in development. The Bf-109 featured innovative new structural and assembly methods as well, which allowed for fast construction and easy maintenance. However, the narrow landing gear caused a fairly large number of accidents during taxiing and landings, which was an issue that never got fully resolved. Still, even early on, the Bf-109 demonstrated significantly higher performance than most contemporary single-engine fighter designs. It set a few world records during the late 1930s, though the Jumo 210 engine that was used in early models was recognized as needing replacement. During the Spanish Civil War, the 109Bs saw extensive combat, and the results suggested that despite its high performance, it was underarmed and occasionally was unable to take down enemy fighters even after scoring direct hits. The C model was introduced to try and remedy this, adding 2 additional machine guns and some structural improvements to help manage the extra weight of the additional guns, along with an upgraded engine. The 109C ended up being fairly short-lived, but the overall Bf-109 family would go on to enormous success. It went on to become the most produced fighter aircraft in history, and Bf-109s shot down more enemy aircraft than any other fighter ever. What we're looking at in War Thunder is the Bf-109 C-1. There are actually 2 versions of this plane in the game. One is in the regular German tech tree, and one that was a bonus prize from a War Thunder Mobile tie-in back in late 2024. In this video, I'm primarily flying the prize version, but both of them are identical, and everything here applies to both planes. These are fighters in Rank 1 of the German air tree at battle rating 1.7. This plane's only armament is a set of 4 7.92mm machine guns with 1,840 rounds of ammo in total. This is a very low amount of firepower, but for Rank 1 it ends up being pretty average. Plus, the large ammo count can kinda help. I usually prefer the universal belt for these guns, but the stealth belt can be marginally better at shooting down bombers. More on that later. The flight performance of the Bf-109 C-1 is pretty decent for Rank 1. It has a good rate of climb and solid top-end speed for its BR. Even with a runway takeoff, it can often intercept enemy air-spawn bombers without a whole lot of trouble, and it has the performance for good positioning early in a match without missing out on too much of the action. The 109C also has fairly good instantaneous turn performance for a monoplane low-rank fighter, and if you're coming into an engagement at high speed, you can often snap in on your opponent on the first maneuver without a whole lot of difficulty. Against other monoplanes and multi-engine stuff, that is. Biplanes will still dance all over the 109C in a close-up dogfight, which is where your speed is going to be more important for evasion or energy tactics. Now, the low-speed roll performance of the 109C isn't great, so if you're in a sustained fight and it feels like you're starting to bleed off too much energy, don't hesitate to try and disengage to regain some airspeed. It actually can matter a bit, and keeping roll performance is really important in low-tier prop dogfights. The plane has leading-edge slats and combat flaps, which can help juice a little extra angle in a tight turn, but just keep the energy cost of the combat flaps in mind, as you're going to lose a noticeably higher amount of airspeed when you're using them. When you take the 109C into live matches, it's an important reminder that this plane has one job: air superiority. With the fairly wimpy machine guns and no external weapons, the plane has no real potential for ground attack. Sure, in arcade battles you can do airfield caps and stuff, but generally speaking, this is a pure air-to-air fighter regardless of the game mode. Now, with that out of the way, there are some challenges. The main problem is the weak firepower. The stack of 4 low-caliber machine guns is a very poor level of firepower for a monoplane fighter. As you can see in one or two of the clips I included, even light fighters can sometimes take a lot more time on target, or multiple bursts, to cause enough damage in order to get kill credit. And although I didn't include any footage of it, really, these reviews just aren't long enough sometimes, I had quite a few matches with this plane where I went home with a whole bunch of assists, but only 1 kill, or even no kills. Against bombers, or larger twin-engined interceptors, you're going to learn about an important concept: the firepower per second of the guns. Sure, you've got tons of ammo, but the amount of punch you get per second of time on target with that ammo is so incredibly low that your ammo count might only give you enough DACA to bring down 2 or 3 targets before you have to fly home to reload. Notably, the stealth belt can give you better performance against large bombers and stuff if you can reliably aim the guns into the engines or the cockpit. If you can't get into position to try attacking the cockpit, be prepared for enemy bombers to be really spongy against your guns. Oh, and they're probably shooting back at you, so there's that. Ideally, the Bf-109C is for attacking enemy fighters with boom and zoom tactics, or traditional dogfights if it's against other monoplanes. Less ideally, you can intercept bombers and pump them full of 7.92mm ammo until you run out. It is also worth mentioning, though, that because of its low BR, this plane can get down-tiered into fighting reserve aircraft, in which case the match is probably going to be just a turkey shoot for you, as should be obvious from the match you're watching right now. Visually, the Bf-109 is a fairly good-looking plane as far as single-engine prop fighters go. The promo version I'm using in the footage has a little bit of a more sporty paint job than the tech tree version, which in turn has a pair of green military paint jobs, which still both look pretty good. No big issues on the 3D model or anything, so good marks for the visuals overall on the 109 C-1. Landing this plane can be tricky. It shares the main issue of the 109 family in that the landing gear is very narrow, so you've got to be careful not to fishtail or anything after touching down, as the plane has a tendency to flip over sideways pretty easily on landing. You can drop the gear at about 280 kilometers an hour and the flaps at around 250. The cockpit has better visibility than you might expect, but the bracing is in really inconvenient places when looking sideways. The instruments are easy to read, and the forward view is adequate. Overall, it's a decent cockpit, even if it does feel really cramped with the VR headset on. To close out on the Bf-109 C-1. This plane gets a lot of ammo, it's got fairly good agility, and the promo version gets a pretty unique paint job. However, the overall firepower of the guns is pretty wimpy. The final verdict on the Bf-109C1 is that the plane is overall a fairly good introduction to the larger Bf-109 family, and even with the wimpy guns, it can still be an effective fighter in Rank 1. As always, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, check out this other one.